Welcome, Anna. Would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Thank you so much, Susan, for this invitation and the cozy chat that we're going to have. I'm Anna Tavis, officially Department Chair of Human Capital Management Programs at NYU, and I also direct Coaching Innovation Lab, as well as host and organize Coaching and Technology Summit every summer at NYU. So very connected to the topic of our discussion.
Yeah, perfect. And we're so lucky to have you. I know you're incredibly busy. You do a lot for the community. You travel all over the place to make sure you're sharing all the latest insights and perspectives around coaching and technology. So it's great that we've got you here. And these fireside chats, really, they're an informal conversation just to allow us time as leaders within the profession to reflect on 2025. And so I guess if we start the conversation by looking back over 2025, can you share with us a meaningful moment that for you where you saw human connection and technology come together within the coaching space?
I believe that we've made a huge leap in 2025 when it comes to accepting and understanding that technology is here to stay for the coaching. And I think with that level of acceptance, a much broader and much more energized discussion around stepping up for us as coaches and organizational leaders, stepping up to the challenge of helping shape what that future would look like rather than sitting in the sidelines, being a passive kind of observers of how technology started to invade our space. I think we are much more empowered now and kind of have a lease on innovation in that space now that we understand the importance of partnership and being at the table and setting our sights on the future together with technology rather than defending against it.
Mm. And in your innovation lab, what is the kind of the key themes that you're seeing in there? Is it? I know AI is the big flavor everywhere, but you talk about technology in a more generic way. So it is what's hot in your innovation space?
The most important thing right now, because we're looking at organizational adoption of these types of tools, and I am seeing that industry leaders, CHROs, heads of L&D and talent, are trying to figure out the optimal ways of bringing coaching to each and every member of their organizations. So I do see the main motivation being led by a very kind of human-centered desire to support employees, people in organizations in this humongous transformation that we are experiencing. And so I think with that agenda in mind, where we're at right now from the technology perspective is kind of at the point of reviewing a broad spectrum of different tools that are coming in, trying to establish criteria for adoption, elevating the roles of people who are driving technologies within understand the impact of those tools. So it's really about the implementation, the adoption phase, and from the Coaching Innovation Lab perspective, we're seeing new and interesting designs, innovative ideas around where coaching can play a role. There are some spaces where coaching has been established for generations now, like executive space, but or team coaching. But now we are seeing coaching expanding into the onboarding process, even in the recruitment phase, in the performance management within the life cycle of an organization. And as you know, one of my areas of interest right now is the integration of mindfulness, mental health, well-being, coaching, also in the organizational management space, not kind of leaving that to the specialists in the clinical side, but also making these tools through the technologies now that are evolving available and accessible in the kind of day-to-day performance coaching process. So I see this humongous growth in our, coaching application market, as well as I said, new and interesting designs, how organizations are using these tools. So there's a lot of opportunity.
Mm. And within that opportunity, I imagine AI is starting to surface lots of signals and insights and analytics that really helps us understand how to elevate our human potential within those organizations. So I think it's an exciting time really within that space. And and as we sort of experiment and learn, what principles guide you in keeping AI human-centered, ethical, and inclusive?
Yeah, I mean, Susan, I think this is like a Hippocratic oath, do no harm. I think this is the most kind of generalized statement. I think we're exploring, there's so little known, so little research, and so much need in better understanding of the impact of those tools, because we have heard enough of those individual cases where, the uses of those tools led to really serious, consequences, outcomes, et cetera. But at the same time, I think where we are, um, not giving enough of, spotlight to the success areas where, and you mentioned data. I think this is the biggest breakthrough. Coaching has always been considered a very subjective, almost like mystical or, magical trait that comes with, some genetic capabilities of individuals and not available to all. I think those days are, kind of gone. Now we're looking at what are the data telling us, and this is what's most exciting to me because I've always worked at the organizational level, that we can actually look at scale of the impact of coaching, not just individual, executives who have been quote unquote, this fixed by this exclusive and very highly compensated coach, but what are the potential benefits of organizational level coaching, and we can actually show the ROI and the data on the implementation of those tools, and by definition the impact of coaching in the organizational space. So I think that this is really, really encouraging and very promising for the future of work as well.
Mm. And to add to the scale that AI affords us in terms of understanding data and signals, I think it's also the ability to do it in real time. So what excites me about technology in the coaching space within organizations is the fact that across your whole organization, you'll be able to understand how people are feeling or how they are connected to the purpose of the organization through their goals, etc., and be able to do that in real time. So you get a sentiment map or a goal attainment map of your whole organization, however global that might be. So it's really liberating, I think, for organizations.
I love that, Susan. And in fact, earlier this year, I've been collaborating with Culture Amp. Culture Amp is one of the
Mhm.
leading employee survey companies that's been, working, for now, I think over a decade in that employee survey space. And what they're doing now is building in internal AI coaching into their systems, understanding exactly what you're saying, that the future of employee survey, engagement survey is in, ongoing pulse taking of the organization, of the engagement levels, and not in the, check the box survey technology that is very analog and inaccurate, but in ongoing conversations, very qualitative at the same time, that could be translated into the heat map of how the organization is feeling based on those qualitative conversations that employees are having these types of technologies. So I think we're going to have a big shift of the survey engagement type of organizations toward coaching as their primary go-to-market solution.
And building on that, just because I'm fascinated by this area, but in effect, what you could see is you have like a self-diagnostic view of your organization, and with coaching delivered, at point of demand, if you like, you kind of have self-healing. So it's something that could be very organic within an organization.
Totally agree. And I think that you just said something that is so, so important because we all went through, employee surveys and administered those surveys, et cetera. And we know that the biggest dissatisfaction in the employee population is the lack of follow-up. Yeah,
Mhm.
because by the time the data are delivered to the senior management, presented, massaged, some action agreed upon, half a year is gone, and we're no longer at the point where the employees were providing their feedback. Whereas with the coaching, it's both. It's kind of a both sides. It's not only identifying the issue, but also offering a way to solve it right
Mhm.
there in the
Mhm.
moment.
Mhm.
So I think we're closing that gap, and that's, I think, is going to create a much more potentially a better productive, better, engaged organizations if done right with the
Mm.
best
It's the
intention.
design. Yeah, like you say, the human-centered design is really important. And, solving it in that moment for that individual is about giving them agency. So it's helping them decide what's the next best step for them in order that they align their goals with that of the organization. So, yeah, really exciting. If we just kind of zoom out a little bit, if you imagine one shift that could positively shape the next chapter of coaching, what would it be?
My mission, I think what it will be aligned with what I do, and that is giving those skills to all of the coaches that are currently there. We still have kind of a bell curve of adoption. And not only, in fact, we're seeing the need for those tools as people discover them, they kind of go there on their own. But I think in the long run, I do believe in the kind of hybrid solution where the human coaches are going to be just as important and even more important. And so I think it's our role as educators, and to a certain extent, that also comes with our partnership with ICF, and ICF's mission is to bring the entire profession to the front lines of this particular innovation trend. And I think that that's where the opportunity. Again, I want to see coaches as leaders in this trend rather than engineers who are designing the tools. And the level of education that's going to be needed, upskilling, reskilling coaches, oftentimes changing their mindsets, but also liberating them to the opportunities that are going to be opening up in front of us. And just the final point here, I really don't think we have any other choice. We are either going to get on the bus or be run over by that bus, right? And
Mm.
I think that we are going to, on our end in education, in credentialing, and working with ICF, developing like what you, Susan, what you were doing, developing standards and bringing the entire community together for this conversation, I think is a very, very important next step.
Collaboration for sure is an essential thing for us to. I mean, as you say, AI, it's the number one force that's really transforming the shape of and the future of coaching, and therefore, how do we want to work with it to design our future and co-create with the profession more generally? Have
Totally.
you got any other thoughts that you would like to share? Or reflections, I guess, because we're here as this fireside chat looking back.
You know what's really interesting, and I think it kind of has to do with not just with the technology, but also as we are kind of fully leaving the pandemic behind. But I feel just such a tremendous need for community. You know, it's like these technologies, it's kind of the opposite effect that I'm seeing when we first started, working on Zoom, right? Remember, everyone was having cocktail hour, etc. To a certain extent, we were forced into this kind of the communication medium. But I feel, and as you know, my views on that, that this technology is actually going to bring out humanity in a very interesting way, and the need for community, the need for us to get together as humans and very distinctly understanding the difference between when we do this touch base conversations via Zoom or other types of technologies. And then when we're in the room together, and I know coaches always kind of wanted that, but now it's not just one-on-one, it really like-minded people. And as you know, we have our conference at NYU, which is continuing to grow. We now are collaborating with Germany to bring people together in Europe who might not be traveling all over, but closer to their home. We are going to Buenos Aires in March. And I'm seeing also, thanks to our community in the kind of AI space, that people are going to come from all over the South American continent, again, to have a live conversation about these issues. I find it absolutely fascinating.
And I'll share, I used to work at Airbnb, and Airbnb's philosophy around its workspace, it was really, well, it is reimagining the future of work from a point of view of the office space. And the office space was where we were encouraged to be, to create community, to do all of the things that you do when humans get together, the curiosity, the creativity, the social aspects, the bonding, if you like, and all of those moments were encouraged. So we were able to take our family into the office space because it was community. Our dogs, we could, and work was done outside of that. The creativity and the collaboration and maybe the design thinking while we were together. But then, as you say, when the work gets done outside of that, it's the administrative tasks or whatever are happening elsewhere.
Yes, I mean, I think Airbnb definitely, and I know the culture quite well. I think I even wrote about it precisely because of its focus on community first. And I think that's now it's becoming what the workplace is about. You know,
Mm,
why do we have big debates about return to the office, et cetera? And I've always said from the very beginning that I wasn't a big proponent of remote working 100%, right? I love flexibility. Everyone likes it. However, I think the need for this community, and we're feeling it. We're feeling it in the next generation of students coming through who are going to be coaches, and I think we're seeing it in people's desire to bond around those challenging issues, of almost like creating a human tribe, standing up and standing with those technologies, not to divide us, but to bring us together.
mm. I love that thought. Is there anything else you would like to share?
No, I'm just looking forward to next year when we're going to continue to use those technologies for the benefit of humanity and elevate coaching as the go-to learning tool. This is how, I see the healing powers of coaching. I see the, community powers, and I see the learning. Coaching is a principal learning engine because it can personalize and empower individuals to really take themselves to the next level.
Fabulous. Thank you, Anna, so much for spending your time with us. Really appreciate your thoughts and reflections.
Thank you so much,
Have
Susan.
a great festive period.
Thank you. Thank
Bye
you.
for now.